So very good afternoon, everyone. So in this session, we are going to discuss about the Spark SQL. Earlier, before Spark SQL, we have spent many sessions on the RDD resilient distributed datasets, which was the core API of the Spark, or we can say that's a low-level API. So on the top of that RDD, we have a Spark SQL. This Spark SQL, you can say uh, Spark SQL module, because when we have seen the architecture of the Spark, so we had a Spark SQL also. So this Spark SQL Spark SQL module is actually for your structured data processing. So now in the earlier lecture we talked about RDDs, where we took a lot of different files, and then based on files we have apply some of the transformation and action, or we have created our own data sets. So now those data set can be like on the fly data sets or any kind of file, but now just to deal with the relational databases or like structured data base, then we have the Spark SQL module in the Spark ecosystem, and this module will talk to the structured data processing. Then this module will integrate with your, you can say, relational processing of the tables, relational processing with your Spark functions. Okay, so that means whatever the Spark function program you have used in this API, that means it is going to integrate with your those things with the relational processing. Okay, so when I say relational processing, that means relational or relation framework. So in this relational framework, it will help you in ingesting, querying, then you can say persisting, and all those things about the structured data. And this data is query using the relational queries in the simple SQL language. That means now we can apply the simple SQL languages in our data also. Then for that, these data Spark SQL is a module which will be going to use. So now, as we can use the Spark SQL, or we can use the SQL syntax in the Spark SQL. That means this Spark SQL will act as your distributed SQL query engine, right? Now the very important thing about this Spark SQL is that it is having a very powerful integration with the rest of the, you can say, Spark ecosystem. So whatever the ecosystem Spark is having, it is having a very good integration. And as we are going to use the SQL syntax, that means it will provide the native support of your SQL to your Spark. That means now you can use the SQL syntax or SQL like syntax into the Spark. Now with RDD we have used many things. Now the Spark will on the top of the RDDs, where it is also providing the functionality to the data sets or relational data set or like structured data processing. Now this Spark module actually streamline the process. It will streamline the process. That means now you can query data in your RDD, okay, and you can also use some kind of external sources, okay. So now when I say all this, I mean to say that this Spark SQL is now blurring. It will blur the line between your RDD and your relational tables. So now when in the coming session, you're going to see that how we can create the data frames, or you can say Spark SQL's data frames or Spark SQL's components with the help of RDDs. Now with this, what happened, the developer now give the flexibility, or they can intermix your, you can say, SQL commands in the complex analysis in the Spark. Okay, so how we can interact with the Spark SQL? So how we can interact? We can interact with Spark SQL through data frame. So we are going to learn the data frame and the new advanced concept called data sets. Okay. So now what happened? User can, these are two different API we are going to learn throughout this remaining session, remaining course. The user can now switch back between these two APIs from dataset to data frames or data frames to dataset. Why it is possible? Because they have same execution engine. They are using the same execution engine, is used, and because of that you can convert these things. So this is about the very introduction about the Spark SQL. So in reality, what is the Spark SQL? Spark SQL will provide you the do the different kind of transformations or slicing and dicing with the structured data. That means relational data. That means now you can also play with the tables in the as a data. And if you have done any Panda data frame, so those data frames is also something like that, but that is used for basically for machine learning. Here we will talk about more on the relational perspective. So this is about the Spark SQL. So now let's understand the let's see the Spark SQL architecture. Okay. So now on the very top, or you can say on the very bottom part, or I can use the some, I think I have some diagrams also here. This is your first layer, and this layer, then I am using another one. So I'm using another one. Okay, and we have small, or I can use mother article. Okay, so now let me write the content. So let's say this is an architecture. So we have a data source APIs. So we have data source API, and let's say we have a CSV file over here, we have a JSON, or we have some kind of a JDBC, you can say that. Okay, and after that we have Spark core engine, Spark core execution engine rather I should say, and the Spark core execution engine we have the RDDs. So let me use this again. So we have RDDs, right? Now on the top we have another thing like Spark SQL. So in Spark SQL we have, I'm just writing the Spark SQL over here. We have Spark SQL, and in Spark SQL we have two important things called data set APIs and data frame API. Okay, and we have another important concept called catalyst, which we are going to give one complete class on that. So we have a catalyst optimizer. So we are going to discuss completely catalyst optimizer and tungsten framework in the tungsten execution engine. We will going to see in the separate class. So this is your Spark SQL, and on the top you have, you can say JDBC or SQL part, or we can have like we can access this Spark SQL with the help of like in JDBC SQL, or we can use console SQL part. In the console also we can use SQL, or we can also use like any kind of programs, and those programs can be written in your Java language or R language or in Python or in Scala. So we can also write this kind of application. So this is your Spark SQL architecture. Guys, any question on this, please ask. Any question you would like to ask on this, please ask. So this is your architecture for the Spark SQL. Now let's talk about the features. That means Spark features, and these features are very common because it is also a part of the Hadoop. It's also a part of the Spark framework. That means Spark SQL is integrated. When I say integrated, I mean to say that you can mix the SQL part with the Spark program also. So you can write Spark SQL within the Spark program. That is integrated. And next one you can say feature is, another feature is have a uniform data access. The uniform data access means that you can connect to any of the data source through the Spark SQL. So this is uniform data and something similar kind of codes. Okay. It is very well connected with the Hive. That means it is having a Hive integration. Okay. And it is having a standard connectivity through, you can say JDBC or you can say ODBC. The Java database connectivity or open database connectivity. Now from the features of this Spark, it is very high performance and scalability, right? Now it uses the Catalyst just to have a cost-based optimizer. Cost-based optimizer based on the Catalyst optimizer they have used. When I say Spark SQL, that means I'm talking about the data frame and the data set. So we'll start with the data frames and then we'll do in detail data frame. But I will give an idea about the data sets also later down the course. Now internally it uses the columnar storage just for better efficiency, and for it is also provide you the code generation. When I say code generation, just to make queries fast. Okay. And it also provide you the Tungsten execution engine. So these are the some of the features of, and you can add many more like fault tolerant and everything which we have discussed in the RDDs also, because it is on the top of the RDDs. Okay. Now the different components are like, you can say component of Spark SQL are like data frame, which we are going to discuss, and data set and Catalyst optimizer. Okay. So when I say Catalyst optimizer, I mean to say that you can say this is the optimizer used in Spark SQL, and you can say this is actually a rule-based query optimizer. Now whatever the query, that means all queries written in your data frame as well as in data set API will be optimized by the Catalyst. Okay. And this optimizer is better than RDD because of that. That means the optimizer which is used by the Spark SQL is Catalyst, which provide you the better optimization approach than the RDD, because of that the performance of the system increases. Okay, so this is about the different features of this. Okay, so now let's see the Spark SQL pipeline. So let's see the Spark SQL pipeline. Okay, so let me use this code. Let's say we have Catalyst. Okay, so let me use this. So this is your Catalyst optimizer, and then after that, before that, let's say let's start from the beginning. So let's say you have the Hive query language. Okay, and here you have a Spark query language, whatever the query language we are going to use, and then we have this is your Hive query we are going to write over here. Similarly, here Spark SQL query we are going to write, and in this we have a Hive parser, and here we have a Spark SQL parser. Okay, so now this is your data frame or data set DSL, and DSL stands for domain specific language. Now here these are the data set, that means you're writing code in this language, and here you have a data frame and data set, right? And after Catalyst, when the data frame and data set internally uses the Catalyst, and once it is passed to the Catalyst, this is your Spark RDD code. So that means this data frames or data set is also converted into the RDD. So that means you can say Spark SQL is a layer of abstraction of the RDDs. So that means now it becomes easy to write code, but the low level API is a RDD. Okay, let's start our session with the data frames. So what is a data frame? So you can say that data frame is your distributed collection of data which are organized into the named column. You will see this definition into the named columns. This is important. Okay, so that means distributed collection of data organized into named column. That means it's a relational data. Or you can say this is equivalent to tables in RDBMS. And if you use the data frame, you will feel that this is something similar to the RDD for the data transformation, or you can say data transformation or data abstraction. But transformation, we have different function in data frame, and then we have different function in RDDs. Okay, so you can also say that this is very similar to RDD for the data abstraction. It will also use the data abstraction concept. Now it is very optimized because it uses the Catalyst optimizer internally, and it is also having a vast variety of support for many languages like R, Python, Scala, okay, or Java. These are all these languages data frames API. Now, because we are playing with a relational database, structured database, that this Spark SQL data frame are sourced from, or you can say constructed from existing RDDs, or from log tables, or from Hive tables, or from structured data files, or you can say structured data set. So now this data frame is highly used, means this data frame is highly scalable and can process a very high volume of data. Okay, and whatever the features or property it is supported by Spark, it also supports like fault tolerance. It is in-memory processing, or immutable, or many more. So this is the data. This is about the data frame. Now the question arises, why we need data frames? That means we should know some of the benefits of the wide data frame. Now, because we should use data frame, because with this we can deal with your structured and unstructured data. With data frame we can do easy integration, and it is very good, high compatible. It is having a different programming language support, or multiple data source support. With this data frame you can use, or you can slicing and dicing the data. Now apart from that, you will find a variety of operations, and some of them we are going to see today, operations to performed on data. So now let's move to the how we can create the data frame. So how we can create a data frame? It is something like a same as data frame, Pandas data frame. So that means you will see I just told also, it is something similar to, not exactly, but it's something similar to Pandas data frame, where you play with data, then where you will do lots of cleaning, extractions. Okay, you do a lot of transformation to that. So similarly, you have how we can create a data frame. First, we can create a data frame from existing RDD or Spark, different Spark data sources, or through the Hive table we can create the data frames. Okay, so when I say first one, existing RDD, so in existing RDD you will use two methods using reflection. Reflection is a concept in Java. So where what happened, it automatically infer the schema, because for structured data we need a schema, automatically infer the schema. And second one is like you need to create a schema programmatically, and these two techniques we are going to discuss tomorrow, because this will take a little more understanding. But before that, we should know how to create data frames. So we'll see some of the simple method. So second approach is your data source. Okay, data sources. So now how we can create a data frame, like let's say create a variable like an RDD data frame df, then we have a spark, then you have a read. Now the spark.read will give you data frame reader objects, and then with the help of we can call JSON, small one this is, and then I can call any of this function called people.json. So this will create a data frame. So this will create a data frame. So this is a very simple way of doing this. Now I'm just going to introduce this data frame. That is why I'm using this. Now you can call data frame.show. So what it will do, it will display the content of the data frame to the, I'll just write this for you. It will display content of data frame to your standard output, right? Now you can also play, I'm just making them a star. You can also do data df dot print schema and s is capital. Now what it will do, it will print your in a tree format. Remember that. You can also play with data frame like data frame df dot select. Okay, and in select you can write, let's say let's assume that this JSON.file is having a schema with name, or you can say, or age. So these are the two schema over here. Okay, there are two schema in this JSON.people, the name and the age of this. So now what you can do, you can also call select, and then you can write double quotes name. So it will give you, this will give you the tabular structure for like name, age. So let's say A name age 20, B name age 21, 31, C 30, right, like this. So it will give you the result like this in a tabular structure because this contains this data. But when you write select name and then you will call just show, then what it will do, it will only show the show name column. I'm giving you the idea what different kind of transformation is possible in the data frames. You can also do some kind of filtering like df dot filter, and then you can call df, and then you are putting the age. So that means this will give you the idea about this age. Okay, you can also access like this, comma df age, or let me write first, or let me write name first because it shows better one. So name, and you can call df dot age, and then you can add one, and then you can call show. So it's the result of these two are same, but the result is only differ by what it will do. It will select every name because filtering is not on the name, but increment the age by 1 by this one, right? So you can also do like this, or you can also apply the group by function. So the group by function is, let's say df dot group by, and then you call group by on age, and then after that you count, and then after you can call show. That means it will show you the things. Okay, now what this code will do, it will count the people by age. It will count the people by age. Okay, so this is another way you can create. You can use JSON file, you can show, you can print schema, you can select, you can filter, and you can apply more function, and then gradually we are going to see some more function into that. So now let's see how we can run SQL queries programmatically. Okay, this is very important and interesting to understand that. So let's say we have a df. Okay, now we have to call create, or O is capital, or replace, R is capital, replace temp, T is capital, and view is capital. So what does it mean? What it will do? Let's say this is the name, logical name I'm giving to this. Now this will become the less like a table. So your data frame, the data which exists or which contains in the data frame, the data contained in the data frame will now be applicable to this people. Okay, this will applicable to the people as a table. And what you're doing, you're creating or replacing a view. So you are either create means it will create, or replace means if already exists it will replace. This is a temporary view. Okay, so what it will do, this will register the data frame as a SQL temp view, right? So now writing with this, now try to understand this is attaching your content of data frame to the people, or you can write anything over here. Now what you can do after this, is we can call, let's create a variable called, let's say SQL data frame is equal to Spark SQL, and then you can call the function like SQL query like select, let's say star from people. Now this people is from this, and then whatever the value it comes in, that means now you can use this people as the table, as a table, just like tables. So here what you can do, you can call SQL underscore df dot show whatever you want to show. So we can use this as a programmatically, we can call any kind, and here we can execute any kind of query. Now show will give you the tell you the display the content of the data frame to your standard output stream. So this is your temporary view. So let's talk about the temporary view. So now this temporary view is actually your session based. Okay, this is a session scoped. That means it will be disappear. This view will be this will disappear if your session that create this will terminates. In case if it terminates, then this will also terminate. Whereas on the other side, we have global. So we have on the other side we have a global, you can say temporary view. Now what happened, the temp view which we have discussed, this temp view is shared among all the session. That means that this temporary view which is a global is shared among all the session, and then it will keep you alive, okay, until the Spark application terminates. Okay, so this will keep you alive until the Spark session terminates, and you can say this is tied to the system. This global temporary view is actually tied to the system, you can say preserved database, and this database name is called a global underscore temp, and you have to remember this one. Now how we can create a view over here? So we can create a view over here like data frame dot create global temp view, and then again I'm using people. Now what it is doing, it is actually registering the data frame, this one, as a global temp view. Now you can call the same kind of functionality over here. Now you can call the same kind of functionality, like say you can call spark.sql, and internally you can call the select star from, first you need to call global underscore temp dot, then you need to call people, and you need to put in double commas, and then you can call show, and you can test it with like this. If you create, you can test it like that. If you create like spark dot SQL, instead of that you can create spark new session, and then you can spark new session, and then you can call SQL. Then what will happen, it will tell you that select star from global underscore temp. Okay, this is the global table, and then we have a people, and then we have a double quotes close parenthesis dot show. So now even with you create a new session, it will also execute, or it will persist in that one. Okay, so this is called a global temp view. So now in this, what is happening, the global temp view is actually a cross session. So this is your one session, and this is your two session. Okay, so global temp view is across the cross session, whether you're using the number one session or number two. I'm talking about these sessions. Okay, so this is all about the today's session. Tomorrow we are going to see how we can create a data frame using the RDD through the informing the schema using the reflection, or we can programmatically specifying the schema. In the next session we are going to see that.